Now let's talk about another disaster. US President Joe Biden has dropped a bomb on the planet. Not the conventional kind, but a carbon bomb. He's approved an oil drilling project in the state of Alaska. It's called the Willow Oil Drilling Project. It's an $8 billion project. It's expected to produce almost 600 million barrels of oil. This will be done over 30 years, and this exposes America's climate hypocrisy. 600 million barrels of oil. Imagine the greenhouse gas emissions. So much to fight climate change. The project will scupper all the gains made by Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, not to mention the potential damage to local wildlife and, of course, the indigenous communities living near the drill site. Do you remember what Joe Biden promised not very long ago? Let me quote what he said. "No more drilling on federal lands, period." That's what he said. So why did he change his mind? The justification is laughable and the double standards staggering. First, let me tell you about the project. This will be handled by a Texas-based oil firm called ConocoPhillips. In 2019, it made news, this company. It was ranked as the 14th most polluting company in the world. Now, this company will handle the Willows project. It will drill for oil and gas at 3 different sites in Alaska. This is in America's National Petroleum Reserve. It is owned by the US government. Like I said, the project will yield close to 600 million barrels of oil over 30 years. Production is expected to peak at 180,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Let's pause for a second. 180,000 barrels a day is not insignificant, but it's also not a lot. Let me give you context. The US, Russia, and Saudi Arabia have each been producing between 9 to 11 million barrels a day since 2014. Compared to 11 million barrels, 180,000 is nothing. This new project would bump US oil production by less than 2%. But that does not take away from the damage it could cause. Burning all those barrels of oil will release millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. It would erase Biden's progress towards renewable energy. And then there's the Alaskan environment. This is what environmental groups have to say about the project.
Community most impacted by this project is New Ixit, and they are opposed to the project because of the numerous harms that it will cause them. I mean, they're already dealing with gas leaks, oil spills, toxic pollution from the existing oil and gas infrastructure that's already in the area, and this will only cause more harm.
So the drawbacks are severe and the benefits questionable. Then why is Biden going through with the project? It's the usual justifications: more jobs for Alaska, development, billions added to the economy, the same old drivel. The latest justification is that it will ease energy prices exacerbated by the Ukraine war, which makes no sense whatsoever. It will take years for this project to take off. And remember the figure of 180,000 barrels a day. That's about 0.2% of the global daily oil production in 2021. How on earth will this affect oil prices? But maybe this is just the first step. After all, once the roads and pipelines are laid, what stops other companies from drilling in this remote region? And where does this leave Biden's pro-climate pitch? He put new bans on oil and gas leasing in the Arctic Ocean. He reduced the amount of land available for extraction in Alaska, and now he allows a drilling project. The logic doesn't add up. But the political math makes sense. Biden wants to run for president again in 2024. He has to woo neutral voters ahead of that. No matter how much progressive, climate-conscious Americans fume, they are not going to vote Republican. But opening this oil field will send neutral voters a message that President Biden cares about reducing fuel prices, that he's looking out for the common man. And this cynical political game is going to cost the rest of the world. It also exposes American hypocrisy. The US chastises India and China for using fossil fuels for growth. Then it turns around and does the very same thing. A Democratic Party lawmaker from Alaska said, and I'm quoting, "Alaska cannot carry the burden of solving our global warming problems alone." This is what the leader said. But it's not Alaska alone. It's all of America. The US has been among the world's worst polluters for decades. So this is not Alaska's burden. It is America's responsibility to not make things worse.